So the lock on this HHR is so tight you can barely get it up or down. It's really hard to move with your hand and impossible with the key. So we'll take everything out and fix it. And we'll fix it without buying any parts. When we get it apart, you'll see the parts are badly corroded. It'll take some oil and a little bit of time to work it in. But in the end, it'll work. And these pieces aren't cheap. The cheapest I found it was about 50 bucks, and the local place was 180. It's definitely worth putting some oil on it and trying to work it loose again. I think rain can go through the glass window and kind of get everything wet and corrode it. Now to get started, we need to take this door panel off. Under this piece of rubber, there's 2 screws. You'll need to push this pin in, take out the 2 screws inside this handle, and a screw behind this door lever. This is a pretty long screw here, so an electric ratchet's pretty nice. The bolt's a little longer than I thought it would be. So once you get this bolt out, we'll get the 2 on the other handle. Once you've got the rubber piece out, they're really easy to see. Once we get these bolts off, we can start to pull off the panel. We'll get these 3 bolts later after we get the panel off. So we'll take a thin metal edge and just start working it out. It's a little unnerving, but you'll eventually hear a pop. If you can get your hands under here, that'll help you give a little pull. Once you see these little tabs, this is what's popping out. Just keep working your way all the way around and just give it a pull. These little snaps are all the way around the door. Just take your time and unsnap everything. Then just keep working all the way around. Then the entire panel will just lift right up. There's going to be a lot of linkages that are still connected. First, we can pull out the window switch. You can just work it out with a pick. Just work it back and forth until everything snaps out. Then you can just pull it out of the way. Then we can unplug the wiring harness. Just pull the clip back. Then you can unsnap it and pull it out of the way. It'll probably take both hands to get it unlodged though. There's typically not a lot of corrosion in here, so it comes apart. Now we'll pull off this top cable. You can just shake it and work it in an upward motion. And to release it, you can grab the door handle and pull it out of the way. Pulling the door handle will help get things out of the way. Now that it's unclipped, set it to the side. Now the door panel comes off so we can get to the rest of the linkages. We'll be able to peel off this insulation that's a little gooey. Just work your way all the way around the door. This is the insulation foam that kind of gives you a quieter ride, but it also keeps moisture out of the door too. Make sure when you set this aside that you don't get dirt in it. Once we get this off, we'll be able to see inside to the actual linkages and the mechanisms, and we'll gain access to the solenoids and the lock. Here's a plastic clip that we can just unsnap. Then we'll set that linkage to the side. Now we can undo the clip with these 3 bolts. This is the part that we're going to need to lubricate once we get it out. This clip mechanism will just kind of drop. Then we'll need to take the power cord off of it. So just kind of reach in and pull it out so you can get access to it. You may have to maneuver it around, kind of twist it up a little bit. Now before we pull the button off, we'll take this linkage off. It's just a hook, just pull it off. Now we can unplug the power. Just push up this red plastic piece, then it'll unplug. Now we've got one more cable connection. Just remove the ball end of the cable connection. To remove the blue plastic part, you're going to need a pair of pliers. Squeeze the prongs and work it out. Now at this point, you can just replace the entire unit, or you can lubricate everything to get everything moving again. I started off with some really fine clock oil, 100% synthetic. It actually needs a lot more oil than this. Next, I actually started to pour in synthetic motor oil. Anything that moves, put oil on it. You can check the other side to see how it moves, and it's really nice and smooth. You gotta work the oil in until it's smooth. When you think you got it smooth, check it with the other one. I bet I moved this thing back and forth a couple hundred times. The local part was gonna be 180 bucks, so it was worth a couple hundred times. Now that we have everything working like the other one, we can go ahead and put it back in. Just do everything in reverse order. Put the electric back on, put the linkages back together. Now we can set it into the door, and then we'll put the blue cable back on. It might not be a bad idea to take a few pictures so you know where everything goes. Now we can push this whole mechanism back into the door and bolt it on. Just make sure this door lock rod is upright. We'll line up the holes and then put the 3 bolts back in. Once this is bolted in, we'll be able to put the linkage back in. We'll snap the linkage back into this yellow bracket, then just snap down on it. Now you can check the outside door handle, then check the key, the moment of truth. It works. Now you can lock the door again, even with the key. Now we can put everything else back together. We'll put the insulation back in for road noise, snap the window switch back into place, hook up the inside door handle, then check to make sure everything's working, then pull the locking mechanism up through the hole. Then we'll set the top of the unit in place first. Then we can start pushing all the tabs back in. Then you can just snap everything around the bottom. Well, now it's starting to look like a car door again. Put the bolt in behind the handle, and with everything back together, test it again. And there it is. And now this HHR is ready for service again. Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.